Welcome back to the podcast, nerds. No, that was not Metallica. That was Brent Williams doing our theme song. Welcome to Nerd Herfers. I am Larry Brantley. I am here, as always, with my two besties, Micah Donahoe.
Greetings, programs.
And Brent Williams.
Bienvenue.
So, Brent is apparently addicted to Duolingo. So we're just going to let him roll with that. It works for us.
No, it's a toilet paper of the day thing.
Oh! That makes much more sense.
I need to buy that.
Yeah, we all need that. Welcome to the show, guys. We are the Nerd Herfers. We are three middle-aged guys who enjoy cigars and whiskey and all the nerdy shit we loved when we were kids and talking about it. And we are glad to have you along for the ride. Hey, if you are not currently a member of the Nerd Herfers Nation, which is a thing that we're doing now and probably going to have some t-shirts made, you can become so easily. It's free. You just go out to nerdherfers.com and hit the subscribe button. And then you're going to know when we got a new episode dropping. Anytime we got cool new giveaways or fun stuff, we got a great merch shop out there. We're just constantly trying to do the things that we love to do, and we hope you love them too. Anyway, here's how the show works. Every week, one of us brings some cigars for us to try. One of us brings a bottle of whiskey that we pass around and enjoy, and one of us brings the topic of conversation that we are going to nerd out about. That is the basic format of the show, but we also have a fun little thing that we like to do, and it's called Nerd News. That's right, it's last week's Nerd News today. Probably these are stuff that you've already heard about, but it doesn't matter because you haven't heard our take on it yet, and we are joined this evening, as always, in the studio by our anchor person, Brent Williams, who's going to nerd out about some interesting current events. Brent, what do you got for us?
Why, thank you, Larry. Okay. Well,
you're welcome, Brent.
I'm going to start off as usual with some entertainment news.
Yay.
Mandalorian and Grogu movie is planned for release in 2026, directed by Jon Favreau.
Yeah! All right!
And of course, it's going to have Pedro Pascal as Din Djarin, but it also says Sigourney Weaver in a yet undisclosed
That's going to be so awesome.
Sigourney Weaver.
She's going to kill it. She's going to kill it.
If she comes in as Ripley, I'm going to lose my mind.
Oh my gosh. Can you believe if there was a crossover like that? That'd be insane.
crazy.
That would be the crossover of all crossovers.
I
just literally, my nipples are erect with the thought of that. Was that
My
too
nipples
much
explode
sharing?
with delight.
Was that too much sharing at the beginning of the show? I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself.
And also, apparently, it's being planned as a trilogy. So,
Oh, get out of town!
That's
There's
right.
money to be made.
All right, let's bring it back down now.
Okay.
A map of the average IQ by state was released, and the source of this is a 2022 report by the Library of Medicine.
The question is, how dumb are we?
It's the average IQ by state, right? And
here we go.
all I'm going to say is California scored a 95.
Yeah.
Texas scored a respectable 100.
Oh.
However, most of the states in the Northeast are over 100. Like, I think the highest score is a 104 or 105.
I always knew it.
So we're not talking percentages.
No.
No.
I'm talking average.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean,
Well-
okay, I'm just going to say this. Texas is a larger state. We have more people. And we have people from other states coming in, and I think it's hurting our average. So I'm going to say.
Large parts
Arkansas.
of Texas are not popular.
Hello,
If we could-
Arkansas.
Yeah, Arkansas, Oklahoma.
I'm just kidding.
Got to
I'm
keep
just
some
kidding.
people out of here.
Okay, talk about scary. I always have to have something scary every episode. This is a real thing. I thought it was fake, but I did lots of research on this, and it's absolutely true.
Which is unusual for Brent. He
yeah,
usually
I
does
never
no
do
research.
research. I don't care. I see it on Instagram, and I'm like, that's the truth. I'm gonna
Oh
talk
my
about
gosh, lightning just struck and killed Larry.
it. There's a company called Colossal Biosciences, and they are working on restoring extinct species through a process called de-extinction, which includes cloning and using genetic information from the extinct animal's closest living relatives.
We have seen this before.
Yeah,
did
did we
not
not
end
watch
well.
It
Jurassic
did not.
Park?
It never. And by the way, it didn't end well every single time.
Right?
Oh my gosh.
Every single movie.
what a bad idea.
Right now they're working on, so there's this woodpecker that there's actually debate whether or not it's extinct, and they're actually working on de-extincting this woodpecker. But on the website, they have things that say like, to see the woolly mammoth thunder upon the tundra once again.
No.
Yeah, no.
No.
They had their
Do you know what
time.
woolly mammoths
Oh my
did back
gosh.
then? They
Horrible.
stomped on people. That's what they did. Because we were stupid enough to think that we could go out with a sharpened stick and bring down a woolly mammoth.
Yeah,
what a bad idea.
Again,
and by the way, if that woodpecker doesn't go, I'm not interested.
Yeah, kill it now.
It's a fail. You failed. So, all right. So the last story I have, in a study by Penn State, they found that Gen X is the most stressed generation alive, but they are also the best at handling it.
Well, this comes as a surprise to no one at this table.
Yeah, we just handle it in our dreams where we wake up in sweats and then get on with
That's
our
right.
day.
Oh, brother, I get night sweats so bad. My poor wife, every day she's like, you're going to have to wash these sheets again. And not for any fun reason, just because I sweated like
When I was going
meatloaf.
through puberty or anything.
No.
But it says in a generation marked by an aloof cool where personal slights are written off with the whatever, which is absolutely true.
It is
Absolutely
Whatever.
true. Yep.
And a deathly fear of taking anything too seriously.
Also, yes.
Yeah, also, yes.
We were the generation hardest hit by divorce, which also means we were the least parented generation because typically both parents worked outside of the home. So, of course, we were
Latchkey.
kids, right? And it says the biggest reasons for the stress is we have to take care of multiple generations, which is, our parents are aging, and then we have kids too. I mean, but doesn't every generation have to do that?
I think that they do, but I will say this. As a Gen Xer, when I get to that point, and I've already discussed this with my wife and our children, we, meaning my wife and I sincerely hope I go before she does. Typically, women outlive men.
Yep, 74.
We are going to buy a place in the most remote part of the mountains that we can find. And on a particular day, I'm going to call all the children, and I am just going to walk off into the woods. Because I don't want them to have to worry about
Like the Vikings
putting
used to
me-
do. They just jump their old men off a cliff.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm just going to walk off into the woods. I'm going to be like, this is the part where you would seriously be considering putting me in a home. You don't want that. I don't want that. I'm going to go for a walk.
Yeah.
I love you, and goodbye.
Let the bear finish us.
Exactly.
Well, they said
Back to the earth.
Yes.
the biggest reason for the stress for Gen X, little to no retirement savings.
That
is not untrue.
Appreciate
Of
that.
all the
That's not
generations, I think we were the worst at handling money. We grew
Oh,
up in the,
100%.
we grew up in the 80s where you just spent money because you had it.
Well,
you know?
Yeah,
if we're gonna
no, it's
bite
totally
it,
true.
if we're gonna bite it at 74, 75, then we might as well spend it now, right?
Right.
Well,
Don't leave anything for the
then
kids.
I
Forget
think
them.
this is
They'll make
all
their
the
own
more
way.
reason for us to continue to try and grow this podcast, eventually monetize it, so we can sit here while we're in our late 70s and early 80s, and sounding like crotchety old men still doing the same stuff.
Yep.
But at least it's like, but I'm dead serious about walking into the woods.
Yep.
So,
Wait till you see the new T-shirt designs coming out for Nerd Herfers.
I can't
Oh,
wait.
there you
I
go.
cannot
I've got
wait.
some good stuff in the
We
works.
should just have one like Larry's bare ass walking off into the woods.
Yes. Of the three of us, I've probably got the best ass. I will say that.
I'm
But
gonna-
well,
no,
okay.
I'm gonna
I didn't say the hairiest ass.
Oh, no. You don't know me,
Anyway.
baby.
Anyway, that is it for this
No.
week's. No, I'm sorry. There's one more. Oh,
I have
and
one more thing.
is it? Tell me, what is it? It is.
Random nerdy facts.
Ooh,
It's random nerdy facts.
do tell.
So, I saw this thing. We were talking in our previous episode about putting the universe into perspective, like the human brain's not able to comprehend it.
Yeah.
So I saw this one thing where they're talking about if you were to shrink the distance of the universe to where there was 1 inch between the sun and the earth, right?
So we're talking scale.
Yeah, scale.
Okay.
If you shrink it down to scale where there's 1 inch between the sun and the earth, Pluto would be 3 feet away from that. And the nearest star, Proxima Centauri, would be 4 miles away from that.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
I actually like that. That helps me to wrap my
Yeah.
brain around.
And the other thing is if you take our solar system, right, and you shrink it down to the size of the palm of your hand, that the Milky Way galaxy we live in would be the size of North America.
oh, wow.
Oh my god.
Okay, I need you to send me that article because
Yeah, I
I've
wanna read
been
that.
like my brain needs to know that stuff.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Because right now I just go, it's just really big, man. I don't know. I just know it's big and it's
Yeah.
still expanding, and
Yeah.
one day it'll stop expanding and start contracting.
Yeah, we got
I'll
a
be-
phone call. Surely it's like around the. I don't know.
Well, that was fantastic, and that's it for this week's episode of Nerd News. You heard it here last because it's last week's news today. Thank you, Mr. Williams from the Anchor Room. We appreciate you. All right, it's time to kick this episode off proper, and this week, Brent Williams, back to you again. You had the cigars, I believe.
All right. I am so giddy with excitement to show you guys these cigars, to share these with you. Can you tell how giddy I am?
I can
I'm so
see it
giddy.
all over your face.
You really have to know Brent well to know when he's giddy.
Yeah, I don't get giddy.
He doesn't get giddy.
Yeah.
There's not really any facial expressions, but there's giddiness.
There's
just
giddiness.
You can
emanating
feel
off
it.
him.
Yeah.
You can feel it.
it.
Yeah, it's a feeling.
Feels.
So what happened? What happened was, I went into the cigar shop, and I'm doing my thing where I'm looking for something I've never had before.
Yeah.
I had in the back of my mind something I was going to try, and I was like, if I don't find something, these are the cigars I'm getting. Well, I didn't find anything that looked interesting, so I had the cigars in mind. I picked up those cigars, and as I'm walking out of the humidor, I see this little display to my left, and I go, that's a funny name. I love it. Let me look it up real quick. So I look it up. Everybody who's tried it, 5-star ratings, right?
Ooh.
So I immediately put the other cigars back and picked these up. And I'm standing in the middle of the humidor by myself, belly laughing like a madman at the name of these cigars.
Oh my.
Oh my gosh.
It's Providence, man. It just turned out, it just worked out.
Here it comes.
So then I go home and I do some more research on the company that makes these cigars. And it turns out that the whole point of the cigar company is they are activists for men's mental health and donate 40% of all their profits to men's mental health organizations.
How about that?
Yes, that's the whole reason. Started by an Australian entrepreneur named Adam Levine, not the singer from Maroon 5. His name's Adam Levine.
Yeah, I would have walked out.
These cigars are called, and this is the alternate name I was going to call this podcast before we came up with Nerd Herfers, the League of Fat Bastards.
Nice. Nice.
Yes. So these are Ecuadorian wrappers with Nicaraguan binder and fillers. These are called the Serie L. Serie L. Tried to say it in Spanish. Serie L.
Serie L.
6x50 Robustos. These are medium body cigars. And like I said, every review I've seen of these, people love them. So here
Well,
we go.
let's
How
go.
exciting.
This is fantastic. I cannot wait.
But seriously,
Let's effing go.
if the Nerd Herfers thing doesn't work out, we're changing the name to League of Fat Bastards.
Well, now we're running into legal issues because somebody else has that
I'll
name.
start reworking
But
the
okay.
creative.
Ooh, I like the nose on that right away.
Oh my gosh, that smells amazing.
Ooh, that does smell good.
League of Fat Bastards.
League
That's
of
gonna look.
Fat Bastards.
That's gonna look so good on my
Oh,
mug.
yeah.
By the way, I am. If the audience doesn't
Sweet
know,
and spicy.
I am preparing a mug that has all of the labels. I'm sorry, the cigar bands that we have used from every show.
Mine are still sitting in my gallon bag. I keep saying I'm going to...
You know, I was thinking, Micah, about that. Is there a way that once your life's work of this mug is complete, that you could somehow recreate it digitally on other mugs so that we
Absolutely.
could sell it?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, once I get this printed, then I can actually do a scan of the entire mug and then just.
And we're just
reproduce it.
calling it the Double M, which is Micah's masterpiece.
There you go.
Aw,
Aw,
We're definitely calling it that.
I love you so much.
I love you back. I love you more.
all right.
I know you are. What am I?
I love you first.
All
I love
right.
you. Okay.
Oh, the shutdown,
You
DC
win.
shutdown.
Guys, this is starting to make me feel a little uncomfortable.
Brent,
We like you as a friend, Brent.
Brent.
Friend zone. Oh, dang it.
I had something loaded, but screw it. That was so good.
Story of my life.
Always a bridesmaid.
Never a bride.
Okay, wait. That's
Oh.
sweet.
It is. Sweet and spicy. Are the notes on this?
I'm getting some sweet on the, like, I almost thought that was a flavored cap.
That's a
not.
sweet paprika.
Right?
Yeah, it's not flavored.
Holy shnikes.
All right. So the second we light these, I'm going in for the bottle because this is a Robusto cigar.
Yep.
And I don't want us to words too much before we get into.
We don't
whole
words
thing.
too much. That's not a problem we have.
Wow, really? You, sir, are not living in reality.
Do you just love starting the burn?
I'm living in simulation theory. That's where I'm living.
Oh my God. Wow. The first word that comes to mind is balance.
Oh my lord, you're right.
Sweet and spicy. Definitely medium bodied, which is perfect for the perfect middle ground for the sweet and spicy. It's like living right in between them. So good.
Meat. Oh my gosh. I just got like a barbacoa with a hint of cinnamon.
Cinnamon. That's what I got too.
Oh yeah, I get that. I totally
All
get
right.
that.
Holy shnikes, guys.
All right. So, because this is a Robusto, let's get going.
Okay.
The bottle that I brought this week, I think is going to pair perfectly with this cigar. So, as you know, I'm a big fan of Scotland, and we are going back to Scotland this
Yay.
week. Specifically, we are going to Speyside. One of the most popular selling 12-year single malt Scotch in this country is by the Glenfiddich.
Mm-hmm.
But they started doing some different finishes on their regular 12-year single malt. And one of the ones they did, and I chose this for two reasons. Number one, I love what they finish it in. They finish it in a Amontillado sherry cask.
Oh.
And one of my favorite short stories by Edgar Allan Poe is The Cask of Amontillado. If you've never read it, do, because a guy gets walled up while he's still alive behind a wall, trapped for the rest of his life. It's a revenge story. It's awesome.
Is there
He's not a vampire.
Is there a raven in there?
No, that was a different thing. The second reason is this bottle made Whiskey Advocates, it ranked number 14 on their top 20 whiskeys, not scotches, all whiskeys of 2023. So this ranked as number 14. This is the Glenfiddich 12-year Amontillado Cask Finish.
Oh, wow. You know
so
what?
It's going to be what?
I have always seen this, not this particular one, but Glenfiddich on a shelf, and I've never had it.
Well, we're having it right now.
Wait.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Hold.
Yes.
Where was the pop?
Just really?
It's just like reek.
Well, it was a very
Aw.
cushioned cork.
Oh, try it again.
Take two.
That's all it's going to give you.
It's just not.
I don't think you have to judge by the sound. I think you have to judge by the flavor. So I am now pouring this delicious-looking Glenfiddich Amontillado finish into our customized etched crystal Glencairns, courtesy of Micah Donahoe.
Oh my
So
goodness.
the first thing you're going to notice is, unlike most 12-year single malts, this is going to have a darker tint to it. And it's that Amontillado cask.
Oh my gosh.
And it
Wow.
it smells
Wow.
good, right? So
This is like a $500 bottle of scotch.
it is not, thank goodness. Because I love you guys.
It sure
Yeah.
smells
I
like
certainly
one.
don't love you that much.
This is
It's
a
not an
one-
all-the-time
it's not a
thing.
one-time thing.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to steal that,
So
Brent. I knew you were
on the
going-
nose, I'm going to get like dried fruit first
Yeah,
thing.
fruit right off the bat.
Oh,
Cherry.
yeah.
I'm getting dried cherry.
Oh, definitely.
Look how dark
Oh my
that
gosh,
is.
very strong dried cherry.
Yeah.
Mm.
All right, I'm going in for
Let's
a
do
taste.
it.
Oh my Lord.
Wow.
There's a little bit of acidity on the end that makes me think of like citrus or something floral, like herbs, but there's a spice on the finish that definitely hits.
Oh yeah.
I'm getting an apple cinnamon.
It's like a,
apple cinnamon cherry spice.
I'm getting like a
Oh my!
Oh wow,
oh shoot, what's that called?
that is special.
Not nutmeg.
Allspice?
Like an allspice, yeah.
Anise? No.
No, like an allspice.
Star anise?
No, like an allspice.
Like an allspice. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is something that now that the weather is turning a little cooler, and that's a very relative term because we do live in Texas.
Yeah.
That it reminds me of like when my wife starts baking. Like this is her season to start baking. Although I don't know if she will this year because we're on this longevity kick and health and whatever. So I may be deprived of some of the baked goods normally, but normally it is
Come over to my house.
The entire house is just filled with baking smells and spices all the time.
Oh,
She could make brownies with Centrum pills in them or something.
ground up Flintstone vitamins.
Okay, that would be acceptable. Centrum, not so much. So this is the Glenfiddich 12-year Amontillado Cask Finish, and it's very, very good. Oh man, I'm so happy. So
Yeah, it's
we've
very
got
good.
our cigar, which is the League of Fat Bastards, which just is delicious. We've got our scotch that we're drinking. Micah, what's our topic of conversation tonight?
At last, welcome, listeners. As you know as you no doubt have guessed, we are Nerdherfers. I imagine that right now you're feeling a little bit like Alice, tumbling down the rabbit hole. You're here because smoking and drinking something. What you smoke and drink you can't explain. Unfortunately, no one can be shown what we're smoking and drinking. You have to listen from here for yourself. Yes, in this episode, we will be discussing The Matrix, which feels fitting considering the iconic phrase from the first movie, which parallels the topics of today. In the early 21st century, all of mankind was united in celebration. We marveled at our magnificence as we gave birth to AI. Yes, gentlemen, we will be discussing The Matrix today. The film, the first one, was a box office success, grossing over $460 million on a $63 million budget, becoming the highest-grossing Warner Brothers film of 1999. It received nominations at the 72nd Academy Awards for Best Visual Effects, Best Film Editing, Best Sound, and Best Sound Editing, winning all 4 categories.
Yeah.
Proper?
Yes.
That's more money than Animaniacs made for one of those.
Hey, don't talk shit about Animaniacs.
It's time for... no, it's...
I'm doing that episode.
What are we doing tomorrow, Braden?
Hello, nurse.
Same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world. Carry on.
All right, gentlemen. So, I'm just going to go straight into this. Are we ready?
Let's go.
Absolutely.
All right. We're not going to talk about religion so much, but this will be probably one of the most philosophical discussions that we've had on this show. Are you ready?
Let me think about it.
Sir, yes, sir.
I was being philosophical. I was trying to No, go ahead, Micah. Let's go.
All right. So, as you know, The Matrix was extremely popular. We are big fans of The Matrix. At least I am. I know for sure.
Oh no, that's a safe bet.
Okay,
yeah.
great.
Herc, yeah.
All right. So the first thing that I want to do is open up this discussion on what are some of the advantages of AI. Larry.
None. Next.
Brent.
Woo! So I actually work with AI every day in my job. We are actually leveraging that for some tasks. There are some things that it's good at, like data collation, data extraction and collation. It's great at that. Writing software, not so much. It's very rudimentary still. So I'm not really worried about losing my job at this point because it's just not anywhere near where it needs to be to do that.
Yeah.
So for me, the advantages are if we can actually use it as a tool and not a dependency, then that's extremely beneficial.
Would you please have this exact conversation with my 2 sons who are in college? Because it's dependency for them.
Oh.
If it wasn't for ChatGPT, they would fail every essay.
Yeah, well,
that's not even a joke, dude.
No, I mean, my son is a teacher, and there's software that detects if stuff has been written by ChatGPT, right?
Really?
Yeah.
So AI is policing AI.
Yeah, a lot of educational places are using that now to make sure.
But I have a very important question. What does any of this have to do with the Matrix movies? Because I want to talk about the movies.
Well, because the Matrix is founded in the birth of AI. That was the thing that Morpheus was talking about
So you're taking us just a very circuitous route to get to the movies.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
I got my walking shoes on. Let's go.
So, based on that, especially Larry, since you shut it down real fast, what are the disadvantages of AI?
I got one word for you. Skynet. Look, man, James Cameron has taught us a lot. And one of the things he taught us is that it's going to get away from us.
Yeah.
It is going to get away from us.
Oh, yeah.
I think there are people right now, and I would be one of them, who would argue it's already gotten away from us. So, I don't know. I just, when I watch the Matrix movies, I love escapism. I think it's great escapism. I love Keanu Reeves. Yeah, I said it out loud. I love Keanu Reeves.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too.
Absolutely love
I have no
Keanu. And
problems about
Carrie
saying
Ann
that.
Moss, please.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anytime.
I love that you said escapism as it relates to the Matrix, because the Matrix
is the whole
anything
point.
but
Yeah.
escapism.
Yeah.
But was it though?
Yes.
The whole point was
a form of control.
a form of control, which is escapism.
Is it though?
Yeah, I'm going to need some clarification on that.
Yeah.
Think about it. Basically, in the future, in the Matrix, human beings are batteries. That's why one of the characters early on calls Neo Copper Top. He doesn't know what she's talking about yet. He'll find out in a minute. We're basically an energy source, but the only way to keep a sentient energy source happy and contented and not making trouble is escapism. And that is putting them in a in a simulation.
I get it. So escaping from their actual reality of living in a gelatinous
Living in a
goo.
gelatinous bubble, yes.
Yeah, in this bubble. So,
Because they don't know, and you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, and basically the machine world decided that they wanted to give us a perfect world, but humans couldn't accept it.
We could not.
So that was the escape. That's where I will agree with you when it comes to escapism, but it became a form of control.
So do you know one of the inspirations for this movie? Are you familiar with Plato's Cave?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
The allegory of the cave.
Yeah, that was actually one of the inspirations for this movie, along with anime like Ghost in the Shell, of course.
Yep.
Oh, such a great.
So Larry, disadvantages? I mean, not Larry. I'm sorry, Brent.
Oh my gosh, you were looking
disadvantage?
right at me when you said
He
that.
was.
You know
he
what?
made eye contact.
Larry did it last
and
time. Called
Larry.
me Brent. It's
I
all
feel
right.
so unseen right now.
Well,
Brent, I see you.
the good news is that Micah
Disadvantages?
isn't listening to a word you say
All right,
anyway.
disadvantages. Last episode we talked about, I sent you guys this link of a podcast that's completely AI generated. And if you did not know it was AI generated, you wouldn't know it's AI generated because of the way the people are speaking to each other, the banter that goes on between them, the expressions they use. I mean, everything. It is scary how realistic it is. It just sounds like two people having a conversation.
Yeah.
That's completely AI generated. I think the disadvantage of AI is as is with all new technologies. I mean, hello, we carry one around every day in our pockets. It just becomes a crutch. And those crutches do things like kill our ability to reason and do critical thinking.
And also, this particular crutch can eventually start to think for itself.
Exactly.
And go, hey, wait a minute. Humanity is using us as a crutch.
Yeah.
Maybe we're better than humanity.
Yeah.
Maybe we should do something about that.
So I'm not trying to be one of those old dudes who's like scared of the future and change and stuff. I'm just saying.
Oh, I'm totally that.
We've
I'm
been
I'm
down
that
this
dude.
road before with other technologies, and it would behoove us to heed the lessons we learned from those eras, with
Especially
this.
Terminator.
Yeah.
And
I mean, everybody thinks films like the Terminator and the Matrix series are just sci-fi fantasies. I look at them as cautionary tales.
At one point, that's all they were, and they became cautionary tales. Yeah. I mean, at one point, they
Did
were
you
just
ever
entertaining.
wonder, like the whole chicken and egg thing? Did you ever wonder that nobody had an idea for artificial intelligence until these movies got made?
Well, artificial intelligence has been around.
You think
for
we spawned
a
it?
long time? No. Artificial intelligence has been something that they've been working on for a very long time. We should have computing power. When the computers first started, we didn't have the power to do it, but it's always been a goal of the industry, right? And computers are now at the point where we can do this, and the scary thing is it's so realistic. I mean, you go on social media now, and one of the people I follow on social media, they did a post about someone had AI generated them talking to individual people, right? And they were, of course, saying, hey, can you donate to this cause or whatever it was? And the people didn't know it wasn't actually that influencer doing that. They thought it was actually them doing it, right?
Dude,
So
no.
those are the scary things. Those are the dangerous things.
all right.
I'm just looking for the black cat crossing my path twice.
Oh, that happens to me all the time.
All
There's
the time.
glitches all the time.
Yep.
Well, let's talk a little bit about some of the cool facts about that, because of course, nerds, we go do research. But what I thought was interesting is Keanu Reeves was not the first choice for Neo. You know who they originally wrote the part for and wanted?
Who?
Johnny Depp.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And also another actor that passed on it was Will Smith. They did the pitch to him. He didn't get the movie, so he passed on it and went and did Wild Wild West instead.
Oh.
Wah, wah.
So, and also Jet Li turned down the role of Seraph because Warner Brother wanted to own the rights to his kung fu moves.
Holy
Wow.
shit.
Yeah. And so
Come on,
he was
Warner
like,
Brothers.
"Nope,
That's not cool.
not doing it." Yep.
Don't
I don't know
blame
how you
him.
do that, especially when martial arts is so.
I mean,
worldly.
come on,
Right.
that's not IP. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is
And-
to the
and
don't be
Chinese
part
when
of
it
the
comes
problem,
to, like,
Warner
kung
Brothers.
fu.
Interesting though that the role of Seraph was originally written for a woman, and they offered it to Michelle Yeoh, but she passed on it.
How about that?
You know what? It would have been better with her.
Yeah.
But I totally get why she passed.
And this is one of my favorites. So you know the Train Man, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's Bruce Spence. He's an actor that's been around forever. He started back in like 1970, I think was his first thing. You realize all the movies this guy's been in. So he was in Mad Max 2.
Yep.
He was the guy with the copter thing, right?
Yes,
Yep.
he was.
He was in Episode 2 as Tion Medon. That was the when Obi-Wan lands on that planet where he fights Grievous, right? The guy that comes to meet him, he's like really white with fangs and
Oh,
stripes
yeah.
down. That's him. That's
I did
yeah.
not know that.
And
Nerd!
and he was the Black Lieutenant in the extended edition of Lord of the Rings. The guy that comes out in front of Mordor.
Oh,
and talks
yeah,
to him.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and has
Yeah.
the mithril shirt. Yeah,
The giant mouth.
yeah, that was him.
That actually, I'm surprised I didn't notice that at the time because now that you say that, it was totally him.
Yeah.
yeah,
That's so crazy.
yeah. And there's another actor, the actor that voiced at the end the big machine that Neo talks to in Revolutions.
Deus Ex Machina.
Deus Ex Machina. That was voiced by an actor named Kevin Michael Richardson. He is most famously known for the voice of Cleveland Jr. and,
Wow.
and Lester Crinklesack on Family Guy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
First of all, I think the name Crinkle Sack is
Yeah.
just amazing.
Oh my gosh.
Amazeballs.
Totally.
And the guy that played Mouse in the first one, he was in Episode 2 as Elon Sleazabagano.
You want to buy some death
The
sticks?
Death Sticks guy.
Holy
That's the same
crap!
guy.
I just saw it in my head.
Yeah, same guy.
That
Same
is
guy.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Hit the nerd button, dude.
Hit it.
That deserves
Nerd
it.
alert.
Yes.
All right.
Totally deserves it.
So, Morpheus says, "What is real? How do you define real? If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, what you can taste and see, then real is simply electrical signals.
Signals? Yes.
Signals. Electrical
I have those all the time.
Electrical signal. Damn, I can't get it. Electrical signals interpreted by your brain.
I don't know. I kind of want to talk about signals now.
So now we'll get there.
I'm going to kick you right in the
We'll get
signals.
there. And
I
Brent,
am.
we're going to start this question with you. Is the Matrix real?
Okay, so I was talking to Larry the other day about this this thing I watched. There's a, I think it's on Hulu or no, it's on Disney. Well, it's on Disney Plus if you have the Hulu thing. There's a documentary there called "A Glitch in the Matrix," and it is all about simulation theory, right? And it's one of those documentaries where sometimes you're going, that's a valid point, and then other times you're going, these people are out of their minds. And if simulation theory, if you don't know what that is the theory that we are living in a computer-controlled simulation, right? And authors like Philip K. Dick believe this. I mean, his collected works are all about him trying to explain why he believes we're living in a simulation, right? Mm-hmm. Which I'm gonna have to go read some of the books of his I've never read now, because he would have like nightmares and wake up from dreams, and he would claim that he saw portions of reality in his dreams, like what was really going on, right? He also had a bunch of other issues, but it's an interesting show, but also at the same time you walk away kind of going, I'm not so sure about that.
Larry?
No, I don't think The Matrix is real. I think that it is a grand story. And I think that the story is based on theory, or not theory, possibility of what could be down the line. But I also think that forewarned is forearmed. And so, again, I think that guys like James Cameron and the Wachowskis, these aren't just entertaining films. They are, to an extent, in my opinion, cautionary tales. It's what happens when we become too reliant on technology, when we want technology to do the work for us.
Right.
It starts simple. We want a Roomba to vacuum our rugs. That starts simple.
It's really just mapping your house.
It's just mapping your house.
Yeah.
But it quickly escalates from there. Like in one of your nerd news just recently, you talked about a robot
Yeah.
that can be like your personal
The
servant.
Neo Beta. Yeah.
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 And so and this brings me back to a Pixar film called WALL-E,
Oh yeah.
where humans in the future have become utterly dependent on technology. They've
They're
become
they're
and
so
fat.
fat and lazy
obese.
they can't move. Yeah.
stand up. They
Yeah.
can't walk around.
Yep.
And that to me is the cautionary tale part of it. No, I don't think the Matrix is real.
But it could be.
I think that we're moving in a direction where I could foresee a future that people just spent. Okay, so I am almost finished with a book that both of you guys recommended to me by Neil Stephenson called
Snow Crash.
Snow Crash.
Oh, fantastic piece of art.
Neil Stephenson, prior to Ernest Cline, was talking about the metaverse and living in the metaverse. And Ernest Cline just basically took that and ran with it, where people want to spend more or all of their time in the virtual reality.
Because their reality sucks.
Because their reality sucks. And so, like, I can absolutely see the possibility of a future that encompasses that.
So I think that it's a possibility, especially given the technological advances that are happening. Like this week, I saw a video for Unreal Engine. They've added this new, I think it's called Mega Lights or something, but it's this new lighting and shading thing that they've added to their engine that makes photorealistic worlds.
Is it AI generated?
No, it's not. But it is insanely realistic. I mean, and of course, you have companies like Meta, even though they lost $8.3 billion the first quarter of this year, they're working on metaverse type things, right? So I think there comes a point when one of the reasons that it hasn't been adopted yet is because it's so expensive to develop. But once it comes to a point where the technology catches up and it's affordable, I think that's a very realistic thing to where, like, I can foresee a future where our kids are, buying real estate and conducting business in a virtual world.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that is terrifying. And so that sort of takes us to back to the Matrix films, where there are two wars going on simultaneously. There's the war in the Matrix, and there's the war outside of the Matrix in reality, which is very dark and depressing and, utterly bad because it's already happened, right? And it's one of the most chilling lines that Lawrence Fishburne delivered to me in the original Matrix film was, "We don't know who started it, but we do know that it was us who blotted out the sun."
Yeah.
And that is the desperation of humanity.
Yep.
We are so afraid that we're going to lose that this is our nuclear option.
Yep.
And they basically blot out the sun.
I think about when I think about the Matrix as being real or not, I'm actually taken back to a Star Trek episode that primarily focused on data called Measure of a Man.
Mm-hmm.
And this was the one trying to determine whether...
That was the trial, right?
It was the trial.
Yeah.
That Data
Yep.
was on trial for finding out whether he was sentient enough to be real. And I start to think about how when we define the ways things think and process, especially as it relates to AI, that we have a moment where we have electrical impulses that make decisions based on a question and how we process that information and export it. And then that's where my I can't fully
There's all kinds of
I can't
things that go
fully
into that.
answer that question as to whether it's real or not, because there's so many parallels between what the Matrix has given the people that are plugged in versus the people that are
There's
unplugged.
There's any decision we make, there are so many factors that go into that. I mean, it's oversimplifying it to say we get this input and we make a decision. I mean, we have life experience, we have trauma, we have all kinds of stuff.
I'm going to say read up on Sam Harris.
Yeah.
He's a neuroscientist from UCLA, and he wrote a book specifically arguing that there's no such thing as free will.
Yeah. Yep. Gotcha.
There's no such thing as free will.
Well, was there a chapter in the book about the first third of the cigar? Because we're starting to get out of it, actually.
Yeah,
We
need
are.
to do
We're
first
getting
third.
very close. So I'm still got that sweet and spicy thing going on. And this is just really good. I'm enjoying it.
It's incredibly enjoyable. It's
I'm
Yeah,
getting as Stewie Griffin would say, cool whip.
cool whip. Say cool.
Cool
Say whip.
whip.
Say cool whip.
Cool whip.
Thank you.
I'm still getting on the foot of this cigar. I'm getting sweet, almost like it's a flavored cap. It's just there's this sweet note.
Yeah, it's not flavored though.
I believe you,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying that's what I'm getting.
I'll
Yeah, if
defend
I
it till the day I die. It's not flavored.
If I could get some sort of a toasted cherry on that,
Yeah.
that was definitely what's maintaining for me.
Oh
Yeah.
man, this is so good.
And it pairs excellent with the Scotch. by
Oh,
the
it
way.
does.
It does. Happy accident.
Oh my gosh, these wonderful fruity tones through both of them.
All right, Brett. What other questions do you have for us, buddy?
My
That's
name's Micah.
Hey, Micah. God damn it.
Have some more scotch.
My age is... It's not the
Drink
scotch.
more.
It's my
I
age.
love that you said it's not the scotch.
It's not the scotch.
That's-
It's not the scotch. You
Drink
want to
more.
hear
My
my
age.
excellent accent?
It's my
I can
age.
tell you.
You're the prettiest girl in the world.
You really are, Brett. Okay, Micah.
All right.
What else you got for us?
All right. So in the Matrix, we are introduced to the Oracle, the Architect, and the Analyst. Now, anybody who knows what the Analyst is, we're talking about the fourth movie, which is included in these discussions.
Resurrection.
Yes.
Doogie Howser.
So Brent, who are or what are the Oracle, the Architect, and the Analyst to you?
To you?
I mean,
As he perceives it.
as I perceive it. All right. So, well, the architect obviously is the one who wrote the Matrix. The Oracle, man, that's a hard one. The Oracle to me is a data miner. That's what she is.
Okay.
Because they have. So again, I'm in the industry. So a lot of what we do is we do a ton of data mining to build prediction models. And I think that's what she did. And that was her power of prediction. It was based upon, how long the Matrix had been running, the different versions of it, what had happened time after
That
time.
is way deeper than I
Yeah.
thought you were going to go.
Oh,
Yeah.
we're going to go deep
That's
today,
awesome.
baby.
Hold on 1 second.
You're going to be hitting that button
That
over
was
and
awesome.
over
I
and
know.
over.
Love that.
The analyst to me is basically, so we have all these programs that monitor every system we write and helps us catch errors before they happen, right? So we can react to those or push out updates before people even know they need the updates.
Yeah.
And to me, that's kind of the role of the analyst. Is they're kind of they're monitoring the application and then making adjustments on the fly.
That's exactly what I do in real life.
Yeah, there you go.
Larry.
I'm not going to get as nerdy as that.
No,
but
you don't
I
have to.
I agree with. So first of all, going to the Oracle, I think that the Oracle, like you said, data mining.
Uh-huh.
I wouldn't go there because I don't work in your industry. But when you said it, it made total sense. But again, we're also dealing with, in the Matrix world, we're dealing with programs that now become sentient.
Right. Yeah.
And develop ideas of their own outside of their original programming, right? So 2 of the 3 that you mentioned, the Oracle, the Architect, and the Analyst, are rogues, right? The Oracle and the Analyst, in my opinion, are rogues. Yes.
Well, I'm just going to say I don't think so, because there's a scene where Smith comes into the Oracle and takes over the Oracle, and she says to him, what does she say? You're a bastard or something like that, or you're son of a bitch or something. And he says, well, you should know, Mom.
Yep.
Because she's one of the founders of the Matrix.
But I still think that's fine. You can be a founder, but you can create something and then regret it later.
Yeah.
So I still think she's a rogue. The Architect, is the narcissist complex. The Architect is God, in his mind.
Yep.
Right? The analyst is the generation who came after who said, who killed God, basically. Right? You're wrong. I'm going to fix all of this. You had a kind of a good idea, but I'm going to make it better. And by the way, what brilliant casting.
Oh,
Yeah.
tell me about it.
What brilliant casting. I thought that was just like the best.
I didn't think Doogie Howser was going to do as well as he did, but he did.
He's a great actor.
Oh, yeah.
Well, did you guys ever see Dr. Horrible?
Oh, my
Oh,
gosh.
my gosh.
That's what I'm talking
I
Come
wanted
about.
a
on.
sequel to that
That's
so
what I'm
bad.
I know, me too.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. But the idea, so what I loved about, and I'll jump ahead here to Resurrections. What do you do when your heroes are dead? And what happens when the heroes come back? Well, they're broken. They're not what they were.
Right.
And I said this to you guys offline, and I'm going to say it now on the podcast. The first time I watched Matrix Resurrections, I did not like it.
Yeah. Same.
I was just like, okay, this is a money grab. Like, you guys needed it, whatever. I watched it again 3 or 4 days ago. Totally different opinion.
Yeah.
Because I had gotten out of my confirmation bias. I had gotten rid of that. And I just watched it. Just plain watched it. And I realized, okay, they had more to say. And the way they said it, I thought was just great.
Well, the first trilogy left it kind of open because, you find out when Neo gets to the source that he's not the first one, right? So you have to assume that it's going to continue happening if the Matrix program stays pretty much the same. Well, the result of that is there's the anomaly called the one that happens over and over again, right? So maybe it gets fixed a little bit more. But what I love about Resurrections is what you mentioned earlier about how when you asked what happens now, what happens later, right? And I think that's great. One problem I did have with it was Niobe's character, because to me she became like, she was the fearless badass in the trilogy, and then all of a sudden she becomes like the hermit Luke Skywalker in this one.
Well, but what happens when you become in charge of all the people?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you have to reform.
It gets real. Is what happens.
It does.
Yeah.
Right. So I
the idealist kind of phase out.
I didn't have it. Yeah. Now you're done with the day-to-day stuff. Like, how do I keep the lights on?
Yeah.
How do I keep the Sentinels from coming in and killing us all?
Yeah.
So I didn't feel that way at all about Niobe's character, because I thought that was a natural progression of what happens when an upstart, young, fearless leader that people can get behind emotionally. What happens when you're suddenly in charge of all the things?
Yeah.
You know what I think would be a great movie to make is the time span between Revolutions and Resurrections, and the story of Morpheus.
Well, I think
Right.
that part of my
And when they were building Io.
Right.
part of my opinion when it comes to these three subjects is that Larry, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit. God is not dead in this case. I almost look at the Matrix like a startup at one point, where you have one person wearing many hats, and then they realize.
Wait, do you mean like little bitty hats, mini hats?
Yeah, mini hats.
Okay, gotcha.
That's what I mean. That's exactly what I mean. Anyways.
Yes, and
Yes, and. The architect has taken a step back. He's not gone. He just realized that he needed additional support to further look at the Matrix and understand what makes it work, what doesn't make it work. And that's, in even today's society, that's what an analyst is supposed to do, especially in software development.
What in Resurrections led you to believe that God wasn't dead?
Well, like I said, I felt like he was taken, like he took a step back. He needed additional support to understand the Matrix. And
You're not answering my question.
Okay.
What line or scene alluded to that the architect had taken a step back? Because the analyst doesn't talk about that.
Actually, he does. The architect talks about scenes where he's talking about some form, and I'm going to use the wrong terminology here, but he's talking about higher ups. He's talking about other people that he reports to.
I remember that.
So I think basically in Resurrections, like Micah said, so we don't get to see the architect anymore. We've seen the architect. We know who he is and what he does. The fact that the Matrix is still there implies that there's still an architect. But now the analyst has become his lieutenant, and the analyst is taking care of the day-to-day.
And that's what I'm going with. And
Okay.
then the Oracle, which I was kind of disappointed that the Oracle wasn't wasn't actually in Resurrections, because I still feel like she's relevant.
Yeah.
The program, at least, something that
But
is
she got-
that is the extra
she got deleted,
internal.
right?
No,
No.
well,
No? At the end of Revolutions? No, she's sitting on the park bench. She's talking to the architect. and-
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about Resurrection.
yes,
somewhere
in
between
Resurrection.
there.
So basically,
She has been deleted.
That's where Sati comes in. Sati's essentially working for the Oracle in that respect. She's taken that part. So the Oracle feels like the extra internal stakeholders who are challenging the construction of the Matrix. They're challenging what the Matrix is and how we can actually make it better, because what they're doing isn't working for everyone.
I'm going to push back on that a little bit, because what I got out of Sati's presence was when Neo and Trinity sacrificed themselves, there was a large group of the machine world that suddenly saw humanity in a different light. And all of a sudden they were like, wait a minute, they're not the enemy we thought they were.
Neo was the first one to make the choice to go in a different direction
Yeah.
as opposed to the
And
others.
so,
Yeah.
so what happened was you had, and New Morpheus, I think, talks about this, is that there was a schism in the machine world. For the first time, we saw machines fighting each other.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So to me, it's not about improving the Matrix.
hold
It's
on.
about
No, but
the
it's causing
relationship between the
once
machine
it's
It's causing
world
additional
and humans.
conflict.
That conflict, though, was because of all the people they had been freeing. They were losing power, and the battle between
Right.
the tech fighting tech was because it was over power.
which
Right.
was the necessity for the analyst, which will
Right.
lead me into that, because
By power, I mean energy. Sorry.
no, I mean you could say that, but I mean it directly applies to today's need for an analyst. And I'm not just like pumping my own profession here, but it's the purpose there is that they don't understand what it takes to really bring the Matrix to fruition to what it needs to be,
Well, it's-
to extract the amount of information and energy that they need out of their resources.
So in the original trilogy, you basically had an authoritarian system. It was a control system, and they had the agents who kept people in line, right? Mm-hmm. And then later on in Resurrections, you see machines and humans working together, first of all, in the physical world, right? Which I thought was pretty cool. And I think that's where the analyst comes in, is now that they have realized, the architect, or whoever you want to say, has realized that there is an amount of cooperation that can be had. And you need someone that's running the day-to-day, that's making adjustments as they realize, oh, hey, it's better this way.
Yeah, and that's a direct parallel. That's why I don't think the architect is dead, is that they reached out to another resource to better understand the problem.
Yeah.
So that they could correct.
Because at the end of the day, they just want to keep people in pods and have energy, right?
Exactly.
That's all they care about.
All right. So for my next discussion topic here, Neo undergoes an awakening when he learns the truth about the Matrix. His journey represents breaking away from personal and societal constraints. What are those to you, Larry?
Well, I
tell you what, let's do this. Let's talk about the second third
okay.
and give us a break to think about that, because
All right.
that's a deep question.
It is a good question. I have an answer, but let's talk about the second third. So
Oh, I went out.
I'm going
This
through this
cigar
so
is
fast.
remarkably consistent for me, because the flavor profile moving into the second third has not changed that much for me.
Not at all for me. Brent?
He's got to relight.
Yeah, don't take your eyebrows off.
Brent is relighting.
I mean, I still get that sweet on the cap, and I'm getting less spice now, but more like it's a depth. It's more it's earthy, and I'm getting some
Dried fruit.
dried fruit, which sort of leads me to leather a little bit, but appreciably moving from first to second third, it hasn't changed a lot for me.
The cool whip is not as strong, but I am getting the leather and a little bit of spice now.
That's something. So Larry,
Yes, sir.
how you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. What was your question?
All right. So his journey, Neo's journey,
Yeah.
represents personal and societal breaking away from personal and societal constraints. What are those to you?
So I sort of broke away from societal constraints on July the 8th, 1980, which was the day my dad died. And there's nothing quite like the loss of a parent to either do one or two things. You either are out of a survivability instinct going to completely conform and do what everybody else does and think what everybody else thinks, or you're going to do what I did, which is go completely the opposite direction. And so I can say this without arrogance or hubris or trying to impress anybody, because I'll be 58 this month and I really honestly don't give a shit what other people think of me. I do not care. Societal constraint means nothing to me insofar as my personality, my character, and my standing as a human being. I'm not going to go out and kill people. I'm not interested in deliberately causing conflict. But in terms of what other people think of me and how other people think I should act, I honestly, truly do not care. I don't think that is a great parallel to Neo's journey in the Matrix, because he had his whole reality, as he understood it, upended. One of my favorite scenes of the film is right at the beginning, where he gets the FedEx package and it's a flip phone, and it's Morpheus telling him that if he wants to live, he's got to go into this cubicle and hide, stop, hunch down, move over, go out, get
on the scaffolding. And
he's doing it, but there comes a point where he just can't do it anymore because he's like, this is crazy.
He can't break from his reality.
This is crazy, right?
Well, at that point, he doesn't know the Matrix isn't real yet.
Yeah, right. And you know what? You had mentioned that you couldn't parallel it, but you were talking about something that happened, personally with you, and it sounds like while Neo's reality was upheaved, yours was as well.
100%.
Sure.
So,
and but again, it's hard to draw a parallel between a movie and my personal experience, which, by the way, it happened to Neo when he was an adult. It happened to me when I was 13.
Yeah.
And didn't know anything about anything yet. I became a philosopher pretty much overnight.
Yeah, but don't you think that maybe something like that had some sort of an influence on your ability to progress to that state?
I think I grew up a lot faster than I should have.
Agreed.
And I think I resented that for a long time. But I also love the fact that once Neo was pulled out, there is a period of time there at the beginning where he resents it.
Oh yeah.
Where he's like, man, I wasn't happy, but I was comfortable and I was safe. Yeah. I think it's a lot like
that was expressed in the noodle expression that he made when he was riding in the car after he had been unplugged. And he's like, that place over there had really good noodles.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like a very flippant line, but it's really not.
No, it's not.
I think one of the deepest lines was when he's first pulled out and he's laying on the table and he's like, why do my eyes hurt? And Morpheus says, because you've never used them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the first time I watched that whole progression in that movie, and I really don't want to piss anybody off here, okay?
Okay.
But I'm probably gonna. You can beat me up in the comments section. But I compared it to an abusive relationship. I've done a lot of research on this. And the psychological reasons why people stay in abusive relationships. Because they're afraid of the unknown. And while their current situation may be not great or even bad, at least it's familiar.
Yeah, I was going to say, as an aside, to anyone who's never gotten a raise in their job unless they've threatened to quit, that's an abusive relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Move on. Yep.
So, Brent, in regards to personal and societal constraints, to you?
Can you use it in a sentence? No, I'm kidding. Personal. I mean, I think I'm with Larry. I think it's a thing. First of all, we're Gen X, and I know we hype on that a lot, but we really were the generation of just whatever. We dealt with it. Basically, what we did is we repressed everything and said whatever. That's what we did, right?
Yeah.
But the older I get, the less I care about what people think of me. I mean, holy crap, I have purple hair and I walk around in public like this. Something I would have never done in my younger days because I cared what people thought about me at that point. I don't try to hide my gut anymore when I go out in public. I just don't care anymore. I think, I can totally relate to the point of the movie where Neo is getting pulled out of the Matrix and he's trying to make sense of everything because that was his reality. And I think that is just a good representation of things that happen in life that just totally turn your life upside down. I mean, we hear it all the time, people are just coasting along and then all of a sudden something tragic happens or whatever, or even something really, they win the lottery. I mean, whatever it is, life is not what they thought it was going to be. Right. Yeah. And I think that's the point of that whole point of the movie is life is not what you think it is. Right.
Yeah. I think that, the more I thought about it, I think that I side with the both of you on this. I think there's something that happens as you become a little bit older. You can appreciate various things that happen to you along the way that allow you to break from those societal and personal constraints. Everybody who knows me that I'm so averted to social media and such. And especially these days, because I just don't care anymore what anybody else thinks about me.
Right.
And I would love for people to comment on everything that we're talking about. But we get a troll, and I go complete Gen X. Okay.
Yeah.
Jackass.
Yeah, whatever you say. I don't even need to call them names. I just throw them down, and I'm like, it's fine.
There's one cool thing I was watching. I've been watching the movies a lot lately. But a couple of things I noticed. There's an explicit use of color in the movies. Whenever they're in the Matrix, everything is tinted green.
Green, yeah.
Yeah. And then when they're in the real world, everything is tinted blue.
Yeah.
Right? And the other thing I noticed was, and it was kind of funny to me, was the dichotomy of they're literally walking around in rags and sandals made of hemp and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yet they have all this amazing technology. I mean, if you ever watch the scene where, I think it's in Reloaded, where they're coming back to Zion. It is. Yeah, where they're coming back to Zion. And the people that are like the air traffic controllers, the technology they're working with is just insane, compared to what they're wearing.
Right. Yeah, but you have to make mention that they're actually in their Matrix construct.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then also you have to think of natural resources.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I get it.
No, you're right. I mean, because even the captains wear that kind of ragged gray.
Well, one thing, no, red. All the captains wear red.
And then the admiral wears a gold kind of ragged. Yeah.
And everyone else wears that gray.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the crew. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. But anyway, I just thought that was funny. That's pretty cool.
All right. So several times in the movies, agents refer to Morpheus as a terrorist. Is he a terrorist?
Depends on your point of view.
Exactly. It's always your point of view.
Yeah.
Cardinal Richelieu in The Three Musketeers said, treason is merely a matter of dates.
Yeah.
So, and we all know from Thrill Kill Cult that history is written by the winners, baby. So I do think it is all about your perspective about whether is someone a terrorist or a freedom fighter.
Yeah.
Well, it's like we talked about in the Star Wars episode.
Yes, exactly. From rebels being terrorists.
Yeah. From the Imperials' point of view, they're terrorists, but from the rebels' point of view, they're freedom fighters.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
All right. So in the movies, there's a lot of obvious references towards Christian, Greek, Norse, Egyptian, and Hindu references. How'd you feel about the mention, these types of mentions to kind of help the story, Larry?
I think that any good story references stories from the past. So, humanity is broken and scattered, and they still have these, like the Morpheus ship was called the Nebuchadnezzar, right?
Nebuchadnezzar,
Yeah.
yes.
So they're still drawing on these old myths
Yeah.
and these old stories.
Which is an Egyptian reference.
Right. And so I thought it was great, actually, because I think that most of the great science fiction that I've ever watched has drawn on those old archetypes. we talked in the Star Wars episode about the fact that George Lucas drew heavily from the work of Joseph Campbell, from the archetype and the journey of the hero, and they talk about masks and all of this other stuff, and so I thought it was a good use of stuff that had come before. I don't know personally the Wachowskis, but I don't find them, in my own perspective, for them to be particularly religious. I think that what they did when constructing these stories was they were thinking about humanity in the far future and what they have to draw on. And when you're at the end of your rope, a lot of times the only thing you have to draw on is the stories that came before. So you do draw on those stories because those are the stories of journey and hardship, but ultimately triumph, that give people hope, or I'll say it, faith.
Yep.
So I thought that was a good use of that archetype.
Yeah. Brent?
I think that a mechanism of good storytelling is referencing things that people are familiar with, because I think it allows people to identify with what you're trying to say, right? So the people become more invested in the story you're telling when you reference things that they're familiar with.
Agreed.
Right? And
100%.
that's just a common mechanism, I think, in good storytelling. So yeah, I mean, anytime you watch a movie and they reference, you're watching Archer and the scientist guy's into Rush. I'm like, holy crap, I love Rush, and so the scientist guy is now my favorite character because he's got the van and he loves Rush and yada yada. And even in X-Men, Quicksilver, he's wearing a Rush T-shirt when he's saving everyone from the mansion and stuff, So it's a
Saw that scene today, by the way.
It's a simple thing, but it's a brilliant thing.
Definitely.
Right.
I love the fact that they incorporated so many different ones in there. They didn't necessarily side with one over the other, but they used these as talking points to make them more relatable.
Well, I think it was all bolstering the story of Morpheus, because he had such undying faith in the one. Like he 100% knew it was real, right? Up until Revolutions, where Neo is presented with that choice, and then Morpheus is like, you're supposed to go to the source and it's supposed to be over.
I
now
had this
what?
dream, and now
Right?
that dream has left me.
Yeah, now that dream has left me, right? But up until that point, though, I think that a lot of those references are just there to support and amplify Morpheus's just rock solid belief in the whole,
which
in the
was
one
incorporated into his name, because Morpheus is the god of dreams.
Right.
So using him as the focal point for a world that needs something to cling on to. I mean, there are a lot of people out there that don't need to cling on to something to justify their faith or their thoughts, but Morpheus is definitely the dreamer.
Well, if you think about the fact that humanity has been reduced to a cave-dwelling existence in the Matrix movies.
Literally.
Literally. And then you go back in our human history, what got them through those dark times were the myths and legends and stories, right?
Yeah.
So it's a regression of sorts, because all that came before is now gone, and it's sort of like you have the technology, but you don't know the etymology of it, you don't know the history of it, you just have it and you use it. But what is your purpose? And so once again, humanity in the Matrix movies is reduced to a cave-dwelling existence. Well, go back to the allegory of the cave. Go back to what is real and what is not. It doesn't matter to cave dwellers what is real and what is not. It is what you can put your faith in and what you decide you're willing to fight for.
It's all about perception.
Yeah, and it was the full purpose of using a cave in those moments. The cave dwelling moments. I mean, you have this system that is a prison based on a series of factors that the machines need to live. And yet, when they're set free, they are back in a cave. Mm-hmm. They are still constrained. They still can't go to the surface without some sort of annihilation. I mean, Neo was going there for a purpose, right? He was traveling to the Machine City for a purpose, and they unleashed nuclear hell on him. You know, it's like he was flying up there, and then every single rocket and every single thing was flying out. That's why he was like, Trinity, take us up, go above the clouds. You know, and which was also a wonderful analogy to, you know, we are constrained, we are trapped, and what do we need to be not trapped?
Well, you know, one of the things I never quite fully understood in the movies, even after watching them so many times, is how Neo's his power in the Matrix translates to the real world. Like he can feel the machines.
Yeah.
How does that happen?
I think
Right.
it has something to do with the same fact that that when he's pulled out of the Matrix originally, that Tank is able to load programs into him like a hard drive.
I think that's everybody, though. They can do that.
Exactly. And I think that that's the same thing, is that when he was out, he was able to use his powers outside of the Matrix because he had gained that knowledge, that programming that allowed him to
Inside the
function
Matrix?
outside of it.
I don't know that I agree with that. I think that to Wachowski's on purpose interjected a supernatural element, right? Because they've already made all the references. So it's not, in my opinion, I think that it wasn't a stretch for them to interject, like once Neo is in the real world, that there's a supernatural element. What the cave dwellers would consider supernatural, right?
Yep.
Because he's the one, and the mythos is built around the one. He just suddenly becomes this larger than life figure in Zion that people want to touch and give things to and save my child and blah 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 blah. So it wasn't a surprise to me that they chose to go that route. I don't think there's any rational explanation for it, but I think it's movies.
Yeah.
And so they could do that. They would be like, so Neo's going to retain some sense of ability, what we would consider perhaps supernatural ability in the real world to affect the machine world.
Well, it's like, so when they're escaping from the Nebuchadnezzar and the squids are coming, or the calamari, or whatever they want to call them, and he just holds up his hand and, stops them all and they drop dead or whatever, then he drops dead and he's in a coma, and they're like, but he's like jacked into the Matrix, even though he's not jacked into the Matrix.
Right.
Right.
I think that's what considers him the anomaly. His ability to retain the kind of programming, and that's why I don't.
He wasn't the first character
I don't
in
find
science
it-
fiction or even any fiction
No.
to live in two worlds at once.
But I don't.
Yeah.
I don't find that to be. I don't find that to be the subject of
Come on.
supernatural versus movie magic. I mean, I feel like anytime we decide to pull the movie magic card, we default to something outside of it. But if we nerd alert get into this particular subject here, I think that the anomaly itself, especially since he was jacked in, and he was the anomaly, he was able to retain programming that was not consistent with a normal person jacked in.
Well, I mean, I guess an argument can be made that since, like you said, since he was the anomaly, that he had these inherent abilities.
Exactly. That's where I'm going with that.
That were awakened
Yes.
in the Matrix, but he actually had them in the real world.
Yeah.
But a lot of people would call that supernatural
And there's no denying
because nobody else can do it.
Yeah. And there's no denying the Christ figure part of this. I mean,
Right.
the whole part of this where he needed to, I mean, he said to the machines that he would be able to go in and he would not fail. But what is failure? That's the real trick, right? What is failure when it comes to what he was doing when he came in for his final battle against Agent Smith, who is paralleled against Satan, which I wholeheartedly disagree with.
Yeah. Can we take a break real quick? Actually, Larry, I do want a little more. Do we want to try some water in this? Try that pipette?
I love it. I don't know about you fellas, but I am truly enjoying these Glencairn glasses.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I don't spend a ton of time with them. I mean, apart from the fact that I feel more fancy when I drink out of them.
So you don't just like hold them when you go to sleep and
Oh, is that wrong?
No,
We're not supposed to do that?
Have them in the shower with you.
Oh my gosh,
Is that wrong?
that's really nice. Did
I
you
have
try
been
that?
living my
I did.
life
It's very good.
completely incorrectly.
Larry, you
because-
should try a pipette in there. It really opens it up.
It really does.
It really does.
And it is fantastic neat, no doubt. But there's something special that just happened here.
All right.
All right, will you pass him that pipette?
Yep. I'm going to do that, and then Larry is going to pretend to put
Larry,
the
I
pipe in.
mean, Micah is our lazy Susan.
He looks like a lazy Susan.
Hey, at least it's not a lazy
that
Karen.
in the nicest way.
Oh my gosh, fellas, I have to ask you, do we need to go to second, third because I'm down to my nub?
Didn't we do second, third already?
No, we did second, third. We need to go to final third.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I need a
Good
roach
call.
clip, guys. Does anybody have roach clips?
I have a.
You have a cigar pick.
I do.
You have a cigar pick in your brand new fancy lighter that's also like an Inspector Gadget
I
thing.
know, and so one of the things that I love about cargo shorts is its functionality. So I picked up this wonderful $20 lighter off of Amazon, and it's got some ornate designs on it. It's got a V cutter, which, by the way, as everybody on the show who's been listening for a while has known, I have spent all my time punching, even before the show, and ever since I've been introduced to the V cut, I don't know what it is. There's something just special happening here. But in addition, this thing has a draw enhancer in it and a punch. And if I ever
So
decide
that
to use
draw
the punch,
enhancer also acts as a pick.
it does. I'm aware. I just, I really like the stains on my fingers.
That's fine. Then
and I
don't
like
complain.
the scarring. And I'm not complaining. I'm just.
Was he not complaining just like 30 seconds
I
ago?
don't know. It sounded a little bit like complaining.
So, all right.
Fantastic.
I'll give my thoughts on the final third. I think that one of the things that I look for in a cigar is consistency. And this has been a very consistent
Yeah.
cigar.
amazingly consistent.
There have not been any remarkable shifts in the flavor profile for me, and I'm very, very okay with that because it's basically the same cigar that I started with, and I loved what I started with.
Yeah. Yeah, even the pepper. I'm not getting a ton of pepper, and I am literally down to the nub.
I have a question
Yeah.
for the panel.
Same for me. Yeah.
Of the Matrix quadrilogy, favorite film?
Quintology.
And why?
Oh, see, that was my
Quintology,
last
if you
one.
count the Animatrix.
All right, I beat you to the punch.
For me, it's the first one. Definitely the first one.
Explain.
Well, it's the one I think that. Okay, so Reloaded and Revolutions were both released in the same year when they came out.
Yep.
Right? And I believe if I'm remembering correctly, one of the reasons for that is there was an impending strike that was going to happen,
You are correct.
and they wanted to get those out.
They did.
So they feel kind of.
I was
rushed.
a part of that strike.
Yeah,
That was very ambitious, by the way. I mean,
yeah,
releasing
it was
two
extremely.
movies.
Well,
in the
they filmed
exact
them
same-
side by side.
Yeah.
They did the Peter Jackson thing. I don't know. The first one for me is still because it's all. It reminds me of like when I was younger, when I was in my late teens, early 20s, and PC started becoming a thing. Not even late teens. It was 1982. There's that sense of wonder, right? And it's the whole Neo finds out his world's not the real world, and here's the real world. And then he can go into the computer program, and he's a hacker, and he realizes, hey, I don't have to conform to the rules of this program.
Right.
I can do my own thing and becomes this basically superhuman person, right? I don't know. So I think it's just basically the first one for me had more of that sense of awe and sense of wonder, and then 2 and 3 are about holy crap, we gotta beat these people or beat these machines.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
The stakes were higher in 2. You couldn't sit back and enjoy. I mean, they were all very enjoyable movies. Don't get me wrong, but I'm saying number 1 was more about the discovery for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. When it came to the first movie, I felt like my eyes were opened, Matrix style, to the way that things were shot, the story as it unraveled. I mean, I loved Reloaded and Revolutions as well, just to complete the story because, again, when we're talking about a series that's broken up into multiple pieces, we've got a story that needs a conclusion that fulfills the journey of the one. That really, really impressed me.
Normally, I'd be agreeing with both of you. I love what I loved about The Matrix was it introduced me to a whole new world. So in the way that the first time I picked up The Hobbit, I was introduced to an entire new world, and it captivated me. Same experience I had with The Matrix. Of the 4 films, I now have to say Resurrection was my favorite.
Wow.
And the reason for that is it's the same reason I loved my favorite Pixar movie still to this day is The Incredibles. Because it asked the question, what do superheroes do when they retire? So what happens when it's the apparent end of the story? And the second viewing of Resurrections for me gave me that feeling. What happens when it's the end of the story? And now we see the character is back, but he's broken. He doesn't know who he is. And the whole journey of having to rediscover himself, rediscover his love. And by the way, it turns out he was only one half of the power. I love that trope.
Oh, yeah.
So I like, for me, it was definitely Resurrection.
I love that. I love that.
I can see all those points. I have to agree with that. Subsequent watching or viewings of that show, I appreciated it more and more each time. The first time I watched it, same thing. I think I had expectations. I'm like, he's like an old man and he's weird and it doesn't know what's going on. This is crazy. And but the more I watch it, the more I love it.
I didn't have expectations. I went to the theater to watch it. And I was like, but I went into it against it because I was like, the story ended, right? The story ended. He sacrificed himself. Trinity sacrificed herself. Now, we've got some sort of detente between humans and machines. And then they just changed my mind on it.
It was really risky, too, because Resurrections was a film released during COVID.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, I think I'm having the worst trouble trying to remember if I actually saw Resurrections in the theater.
Yeah, I was going to say, was it in the theaters?
I thought it was an HBO.
I thought it was streaming.
Oh,
only.
you know what? You're right.
Release.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
And I didn't do that to prove you wrong.
I watched it. No, you're right. I watched it in my house. But again, I went into it like,
yeah.
Come on, guys.
Yeah, you've already done it.
What are we?
Well,
what,
it's basically
what more
a
can you do?
made-for-TV movie at that point, right?
and then that's exactly how I watched the movie. So I took all of my confirmation bias into that viewing.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until you decided that we were going to make this a topic of conversation. I was like, all right, I got to go back and watch this and whatever. Completely different eyes.
I'm really glad that you had a chance to check it out again and form new opinions.
And it's now my favorite Matrix movie.
That's fantastic.
Like, no question, it is.
I love how timid, in Resurrections, Neo is.
Right.
They've actually, the analyst, and that was one of the things that I loved about the analyst. The analyst figured out a way to incorporate Neo and Smith into the movie and have them be oblivious to what was happening inside of the film.
I disagree with that.
They were oblivious
Neo
until the
was,
middle of the film because
but
then
Smith wasn't.
But Smith came in and said, "Oh my gosh, I know who I am."
Yeah, no,
but it wasn't his end game.
He didn't know who he was at first. Yeah,
yeah, and it wasn't his end game to really, prove his point or beat Neo again. He had a new purpose,
right?
And the reason why was because the analyst had put together a series of events that showed, this one character, he paralleled everything that happened in the first 3 movies against what he was, so it made what he was trying to understand less plausible. He didn't know he was the one until...
Would you say it was implausible?
Yeah, that. What did I say? Did I say it again?
You said less plausible.
Fruckety frack froke.
Also correct, by the way.
It is.
Also,
very
don't
much
right.
so.
Hey, don't be vegan about it.
I'm not going to be vegan, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
The actor that played Smith in Resurrections, by the way, he was the same actor that played King George in Hamilton.
Oh my gosh,
Oh,
he was fantastic.
Yeah, and he also he was in Frozen. He played the guy. What's his name? Stefan.
Did he really?
Yeah,
I don't remember the guy's name.
I knew he
Stefan?
was in Glee. I don't know if you guys ever watched Glee, but he played kind of
No, Micah, we didn't watch Glee.
the antagonist
you
in
watched
Glee.
Glee.
He's most famous for the.
I
amount
like
of-
show tunes.
He's most famous for the amount he spits while he sings.
And by the way, all of his songs in Hamilton are hilarious.
Oh,
They
they're
are
so
hilarious.
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy was great. And I loved the fact that they did sort of in Resurrections break the fourth wall in the sense that now Neo is this guy, or Thomas Anderson is this guy
Mr. Anderson.
Mr.
who
Anderson.
created a game called The Matrix.
Yeah.
And so, and one of my favorite scenes is when they're brainstorming the next game, and I was just like, "Oh my god, this is my nightmare here.
Yeah.
This is every creative nightmare I've
Yep.
ever had."
Cat videos.
Yeah, exactly. I was just like, "Oh no, it's so awful."
Yeah.
So I'm going to lighten the topic just a little bit here. How did you feel The Matrix changed the visual effects industry, Brent?
Well, the first Matrix didn't change anything. Actually, the special effects were a little crappy. If you go look at the green screening and stuff.
What about the 360?
No. If you go look at the green screening and stuff. Now, bullet time was a thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know if Matrix was the first one to do that though. Were they?
I thought
the
they
first one to
did
do
the
that?
360 bullet time stuff.
Yeah, maybe they did. But I don't know. I mean, I would say that they built upon what came before them.
That's fair, but
I
I
don't know
give
if they-
credit. I give
yeah.
credit to.
I'll give credit to the bullet time. I think you're right. I think they innovated that, but
I
the rest of
give
it was
credit
not.
to being able to take existing technology and doing something different.
Well, I will say, so the other day, just happy happenstance, I was watching the movie and I paused it, and it was during Reloaded, and it was one of the scenes where, no, I'm sorry, it was Revolutions, I think, where Niobe is flying one of the ships. It's not her ship, right? She let Neo take her ship. She's flying the other ship, and she's doing this thing where she's doing like this loop-de-loop thing to go down a tunnel, and I just happened to pause it during one of those, and I have to say that I actually took a picture of it on my phone. The scene, the ship, the way it was painted, it just looked beautiful. It was like an amazing still, and I thought, dang, that's pretty cool. That's
Yeah.
pretty talented how they did that. Yeah.
Yeah. Larry, what do you think?
I don't know enough about the industry to say that they innovated. Not in the same way that I remember a documentary from Skywalker Ranch where they were talking about the creation of the Phantom Menace. And they were talking about the pod race. And Lucas has laid out storyboards and he's laid out all these Post-it notes. And he walks his entire team through what the pod race is supposed to look like. And his director of visual effects said, "We don't have the technology for that. Give us 6 weeks." And then they created it. And honestly, to this day, still one of my favorite scenes of all Star Wars movies because it was so amazing.
I'm going to pretend like that's the first time we've ever heard that story. Because it's literally like the fourth time we've heard
It's all
that story.
good.
Fine. I don't care. It's relevant in this situation.
That's okay,
Yeah.
because any minute
Go
Larry's
sit down.
actually going to start talking about Guns Point Mall again. So.
That's right, exactly.
No, he's not. But whatever.
And boobies.
Whatever. Hey, I'll talk about boobies all day, you guys. If you want to go there, we'll talk about boobies.
Yeah, that's how we end the Matrix. Right there.
I don't know.
Let's talk about that cave dancing scene with all the boobies all over the place.
You done?
I'm done.
Okay. I don't know enough. I don't know if they innovate. I don't know if they created anything new. I know that guys like James Cameron have created new technologies. Lucas has certainly done it. I don't know if the Wachowskis created any new. I just know that it was unlike anything I'd seen before. And that impresses me enough.
That sounds like innovation to me.
Bullet time was awesome. I just thought that was super
definitely
cool.
the way that was filmed.
The moments where we clearly see something is wrong in this world because it is the Matrix, like when the helicopter crashes into the side of the building and it just waves out. That kind of thing.
That ripple effect.
I was like, okay, that's original. That is giving the audience a hint that, hey, this is not the real world. There's a problem now because it wasn't supposed to go that way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think you're
So-
answering the question by just saying it that way.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah.
There's my answer.
All right. So
Boobies.
What's the question? My answer is boobies.
The answer is boobies.
I'll take boobies for 200.
All right, Larry, I'm going to start this one with you.
Okay.
All right.
Boobies. Sorry.
All right, when we have our answer to that one, that's all good.
Next question.
All right. How did you feel
Boobies.
about the music choice of the films?
Oh, I have a comment on that.
Whoa.
Go ahead.
I'm
Well,
sorry. You're asking Larry. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Larry,
Sorry.
so how did you feel about the music choice of the films? Even if you liked what was used, what other types of music would you have incorporated into the movies?
Oh.
Start with how you felt about the music.
Well, so as a guy who works in the industry, here's what I think about something like score. If I don't talk about it after the movie, that means it was really good.
Oh.
Because it means it was invisible. It means all that it did was add to the layers of the film. And I have nothing to say about the score because that's how I felt about it.
Okay. Well,
There was nothing in the movie that made me go, "Oh, that was a poor choice," or "Oh, that was it just ran with the movie."
So for me, one of the first things that I did after the movie came out was I immediately went out and bought the soundtrack.
Okay.
I mean, I listened to all of the music. I mean, that was one of the fundamental themes of the entire series was such an industrial look to it. So, and at the time, you know, techno was very, very popular, and the incorporation of the type of techno that they used, that industrial techno, I felt was just perfectly fitting. Brent?
Two things to say. First, an aside. Crap, I forgot my aside already.
Welcome to middle age,
Oh
everyone.
my gosh, how does that happen?
Well, if we didn't have the industrial techno that went in there, can you think of any other music genres that you might have put in
Ragtime.
place?
Yeah.
Scott Joplin, ragtime. Absolutely.
Dun, 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 dun. That'd have been hilarious.
Guns going off with every nap.
Yeah. Just a slightly out of tune stand-up piano.
Yeah.
Just yeah.
No, I mean, I think technical was perfect for that. I mean, works of art are products of their time, right? So I think at that time, like you said, technical was popular. So it was just like,
Can we?
and I think it fit the movie, obviously. You know?
Yeah.
So
Before I burn my fingers, can we talk about the final third?
I thought we did already.
Did we already?
Yeah, because I
So
was down to
you-
my nub.
Oh, you're not even smoking it.
Yeah,
now.
you said it was consistent all the way through.
All the way
to
through.
your
Yeah,
final third.
okay.
Even
so
down to the nub, which
we're
is
done with the cigar.
amazing.
What other Matrix questions do you have?
That was pretty much it. I mean, one of the things I wanted to cap it with was your favorite, but I mean, we could definitely talk about the relationship between Neo and Trinity, because one of the things that I really found awesome was the incorporation of all of the different religions and ideologies that they put in place to parallel the idea, and even down to like Smith's license plate on his car was a Bible verse that actually mentions about a Smith.
You want to blow your mind right now?
Hit me.
Neo means new.
Yes, or
Trinity means three.
yeah.
A new Trinity.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just going to let you sit with that for a while.
Oh my gosh.
You want to get super nerdy? Hold on.
Nerd alert!
Neo's apartment number is 101. 101 on binary is the number 5. 5 on the Destiny chart is someone who's adventurous but cautious.
Oh, about that.
Yeah, so
I mean,
put
how
that in your cigar that you no longer have and smoke it.
I mean, so what was really great about what I really enjoyed about the Trinity Neo relationship is that through all of the different references that we received throughout the films, all of them, was that there was never really a love interest, and I really don't feel like the Mary Magdalene thing applies to Neo. So how did we feel about the relationship between the two, and eventually coming up to the fourth movie where he's the one, but he needs his other half.
Well, that's why I loved Resurrection so much, is because we found out in the fourth film that it wasn't just Neo.
Yeah, it wasn't just one anomaly,
And it
Yeah,
wasn't
and
just...
I like at the end where they jump off the building and it's Trinity that's flying this time.
Yep.
And she grabs Neo, and then later on they're both flying when they come back to talk to the analyst.
Yeah.
And you know what it is?
Yeah.
It's love.
It's love.
Yeah,
It's about love.
yeah. The end, the whole point of all these things, love
Because all you need...
is love.
There you go.
Bum bum ba da bum.
Just saying. Well, well done, Micah. That was a great topic of conversation. You were very prepared.
Oh my gosh,
You
yeah.
had lots of very deep questions. that
You win
Brett
the
and
nerd. You win the nerd card for the night.
Yes, hit the
well,
button.
Well done. You win that one, buddy.
Okay.
Hands down. Thank you guys so much for being a part of this conversation. Hey, if you want to do more, be a part of something more, go to nerdherfers.com, hit subscribe, and you can become a part of the community just that easy. We've already come up with several ideas about new merch that we're definitely going to do.
Oh yeah.
So by all means, let's do that. Also, make sure when you go out to nerdherfers.com that you click on Cigar Shop, because you can be a part of what the cigars that we're smoking and hanging out with. Anyway, you guys, thanks so much for being part of the conversation tonight. Hit us up in the comments section at nerdherfers.com, or go out to our Instagram page at nerdherfers. Brent, do we have a TikTok page?
We have TikTok, we have X, we have Facebook, we have Instagram, we have what's the other one? What's the one
Like
I'm
and
missing?
subscribe.
I don't even
Every
know.
single thing.
I don't even know.
We're on all the socials.
I thought I think you named them all,
Yeah.
or at least the ones that matter to me.
Oh, YouTube too. So we're on
YouTube. Oh my gosh. Yeah, definitely do YouTube, because it is literally the new Coke of social media. All right, you guys, that's it for us tonight. I am Larry Brantley with Micah Donahoe
Live long and prosper.
and Brent Williams,
Keep your shirt on.
reminding you, take the red pill. Good night, everybody.
This has been a production of Nerd Herfers, copyright 2024, all rights reserved. No portion of this broadcast may be used without permission. Please visit nerdherfers.com for more information and full legal disclaimer, you nerd.
Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.